I'm going to show you how to look up a job in the Occupational Outlook Handbook. Finding your job is actually a little bit tricky, so I want to show that to you. But once you find your job, there's a wealth of information in there. So we're going to go to that bit.ly link that I will give you in the slides in just a moment. But it's bit.ly/AZ lookup, because that URL is a little tricky, so I made a short one for you. And it's going to take you here to the U.S. Bureau of Labor and Statistics, the Occupational Outlook Handbook. And this is an AZ index. So you're going to look up your job alphabetically. Now, typically, it kind of just goes with big categories of jobs. So you're not going to get specific things like pediatrician. It's going to tell you to see doctors or see physicians. So let's pretend I want to look up civil engineer. Okay. Now, again, it's not going to have the detailed job of civil engineer under C. We want to look for engineers. That's kind of the category, right? So I'm going to go to E, and I'm going to scroll down until I find engineers, which is way down here. Now, let's take a look at what's in here. There's not a whole lot of specific engineers listed. We've got engine designer, C mechanical engineer. We've got cartographers. We've got architectural and engineering managers. And then engineering psychologist. So nothing for civil engineer in here. But I know that civil engineering often kind of goes with architectural things. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this architectural and engineering managers. It's the closest thing I can think of. And then that's what this gives us, is this job. But if I go to similar occupations, I can find it right here. So here's all the engineers now listed. So now I've got industrial engineers, I've got aerospace engineers, I've got mechanical, I've got civil. So they're kind of all clustered in this one place when we go to similar occupations. You can also try doing a search. The problem with the search is it'll take you out of the AZ handbook, and then it's tricky to get back into it. And again, it's not going to find like specific civil engineer. It's going to take you to engineers. Okay, so once I'm in here, let's take a look at the data that I'm going to get. So I'm going to go to civil engineers. And there's information in here that's very similar to Zello, right? It tells you what they do. It gives you their work environment, kind of those conditions for working there. How to become one would be like the education section. And Zello actually gets all of its information from this handbook. So pretty much most of your career sites pull from this one. Talks about pay. And then here's the thing that we're really interested in today is job outlook. So we're going to go here to the job outlook. Now there's several things that you'll want to look for in here. The first thing you want to do is read the paragraphs, because it'll explain why a job is increasing or decreasing. So that's important for you to know. Up here's the chart, and the chart you want to take with a little bit of a grain of salt, because numbers matter too, not just percentages. So if we look at the chart, it tells us the engineering category is going to grow overall by 7%. Now the national growth for any job today is 3%. And this does change, by the way, every year. I remember a time when this number was at 11%. So our job growth is not as high as it usually is. Right now it's 3% is average. So anything above 3% is above average, which means you have a better chance of getting that job. So this is nice because it compares all engineers versus civil engineers. So civil engineers is actually lower. This was not true 5 years ago. 5 years ago, civil engineering was blowing up and it had a really high percentage. Now it's going down because a lot of students have gone into that and there's a lot of people in that field. Okay. And remember too, that this is looking at 10-year data. So this is estimating what it's going to be like in 10 years, which is close to when you're going to be getting out of school, right? If you're going to college, maybe you're doing a master's degree. If you're a civil engineer, by the time you get out, this is what it's going to look like for you. Okay, so you're looking at these percentages, but also look at this numeric number. This is important because it might have a high growth rate percentage-wise, but when you look at the numbers, it's really small. Okay, so you want to look at the numbers as well. So this tells you that 16,200 positions for civil engineer will be created over the next 10 years. So there's going to be that many job openings in 10 years. 16,000 is kind of a lot. If you find another career where you look at it and maybe it's 6% growth, but the number is really small, maybe the number is 200. some of the numbers can be less than 100. So, you know, if there's only 50 job openings in the entire country, that's probably going to be hard to get, right? So you want to look at that number as well. So look at the change number, look at the change percentage, and then you can read over here to kind of find out why these things are happening, why it's decreasing, why it's increasing. So that's what you want to look at for your career. Let's look at one more. Let's just go back to the AZ. And let's look at physical therapy really quick. I want to show you one that has a little bit of a different growth rate. So physical therapist, I'm going to go there. All right, right here, physical therapist. So take a look at this job outlook. And this one's very different. So healthcare in general is growing by 9%, which is really good. It's way higher than the national average. Pretty much anywhere you go in healthcare, you can find a job. Any hospital has dozens of postings at any given time. So healthcare is a good field to get into, but look at physical therapy. Physical therapy is up by 15%. So that's way higher than the national average. You have a really good chance of getting a job in that area. And this will tell you why. It'll talk about our aging population. The paragraphs will kind of explain all that kind of stuff. So take a look at your own career choices. What were your favorite careers that you've saved so far? Maybe you have 2 or 3 that you're really serious about looking into, and go to this BLS website, find it, and look at this job outlook and see what your chances are of getting a job in 10 years. Look at that number. How many of those positions are going to be open? So, you know, look at this one. The last one we looked at was 16,000 jobs. This is 37,300. That's a lot of jobs. So take a look at that and see what your future looks like as far as the careers that you are choosing. So again, you're going to go to bit.ly/AZ lookup. And that'll get you into that handbook. And then you just got to find your job, which is the tricky part.